Hello. Welcome to TSC Talks, the source cannabinoids. My name is Jill Woodworth, and I am your host. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is a podcast inspired by the condition known as tuberous sclerosis complex, where we talk about all things cannabis, all things special needs, all things. We talk. Today on the podcast, my guest is Bonnie Drake. She hails from Michigan. She is a green nurse. Nurse Bonnie, she goes by. She has a story, an x-ray that would make you cringe. She's made it her life's mission to share her story and the many others she's treated with this propagandized plant that saved hers and so many other lives. She was addicted to the same type of opiates that so many people are, no longer mask the pain. Bonnie found CBD. So that is what we're going to talk about, her journey to the industry, coming, middle-aged and having major health problems, these back problems that are really hindered her. She reached out to me, and I knew her through Mike Robinson, and she sent me a picture of her back, the x-ray of her back, and I was like, whoa, I've got to talk to this lady. So you're going to hear a story of overcoming, of deep trauma, and just rising up through the ashes of many challenges to help others and put a really positive and connected message out there. I appreciate getting to know Bonnie a little bit. You'll hear more from her, I am sure. And I want to just talk a little bit about our series, What is a Green Nurse? After Bonnie's podcast. Bonnie is the second in the series. We had the Green Nurse compilation, which I hope that you all got a lot of education and information from. If you listened to it, I thought it was fabulous. And thank Lisa for pulling such great clip. And after this podcast, our next one is Sherry Tutkis and Mark Worcester together talking about what is a green nurse, what they, how they've come into the field as well, and what the technical definitions are to Massachusetts, what the work they're doing locally and online, nationally, globally, and how they're going to change the world. And Bonnie, right in the same boat, is doing the same thing. So we're going to just keep plugging away and learning more about the green nurses, how they can be a real bridge between the Western traditional medicine and integrating more alternative options with cannabinoid medicine and other tools. So we feel like this is a really important content arc. And personally, as a parent of children with tuberous sclerosis complex, actually not children so much anymore, but as they navigate to adulthood and are faced with multiple medications and an overwhelming burden of trying to navigate our healthcare system with specialists up the wazoo, using cannabinoid medicine and decreasing the number of pharmaceuticals has had a real positive impact already. We're still in the middle of that. So I feel like as many people out there listening, immersed in the frustrating case management that so many of us are immersed in when we ourselves or our loved ones have chronic, life-threatening conditions that force us into a role of dependence and oppression. We can get such relief and improve the quality of life through alternate medicine. And I'm not saying ditch the traditional medicine, but, integrate it. Let's have an integrated world. We have tons of options. And we're not so, hellbound to just one specific way of understanding and treating human beings. So I'm going to stop talking. I think you've had enough of me, and I hope you enjoy Nurse Bonnie. Keep tuning in. Check out thesourcecannabinoids.com for our amazing forest bathing products, which we will be adding more to that product line in the near future. Stay tuned for info on that. And yeah, that's it. Take it away, Bonnie. So Bonnie Drake, thank you for being on TSC Talks. I bumped into you, I believe, through Mike Robinson. I know you sent some pictures of your lovely yard, and then we had a chat about your entry into cannabinoid medicine through your your dog, I believe. You were giving.
Yes. That's how I got
then
started.
Yourself.
And then myself. Yes. Yes.
So
I was born with congenital scoliosis.
Okay.
I wore a back brace for 5 years, and it allowed the curvature to be corrected enough that I could carry children. By the time I reached my 50s, I was having more issues with my back. I was a nurse and on my feet a lot. I was also a respiratory therapist doing home care at the same time. I'm a workaholic. I had 3 jobs at once, and 1 full-time and 2 part-time.
Holy crap.
Yeah, well, single moms do what they can to get their kids through some good schools. So I noticed as I was working in a cardiac nuclear stress lab as a respiratory therapist that I was on my feet, and there was nowhere to sit, and I found myself leaning on windowsills. Well, I thought I had some sort of a bladder infection or something going on, and I went to a urologist, and he said, "You need an MRI of your back." He says, "This is back related." And so when it came back, it was 2 pages long of all the things that needed to be fixed. I had ruptured disc, I had a fracture, I had spinal stenosis, I had spondylolisthesis. Everything had slid to the left, and it was either 2 9-hour surgeries at the University of Michigan to correct these problems, or a wheelchair within 6 months. I was 57 years old.
Wow.
So I, of course, decided I had no choice. I had to have this done. I was told I would be off of work for a year. I went through the surgeries. They were 2 weeks apart, one from the front, one from the back. They put rods in, and they put a lot of hardware into my back. By 4 months post-op, I was an impatient person, and I couldn't get off the couch. I was still in a back brace, and I decided to go adopt a Doberman Pinscher puppy.
What made you decide to do that?
Because I'd had Dobermans before earlier in my life, and I knew they were energetic, and I knew it would get me off the couch.
You needed something to motivate you,
motivate me at that point. Yes.
Yeah, I can see that. That's a lot.
I started working. Well, yes, but that's what it takes to get people motivated.
No, I know, no, not just Doberman, but just what you were telling me about the back.
It was exactly what I needed, though, to get me off the couch and keep me motivated. And as he grew, I noticed he's leaning into me more and more. Well, Dobermans are natural leaners. They'll stand right next to you. They will not let you fall. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what if I put a harness on him? I wouldn't have to walk with a cane for the rest of my life like they told me I would. And it worked. And I started, and I love dogs. I started teaching him different commands, and pretty soon I decided that his temperament was such that I could take him a step further and get him certified as a therapy dog. And that motivated me to take him into schools, hospitals, and nursing homes, which helped my psychic depression for being able to do something with dogs. And then I started letting him train other dogs. And I have placed dogs with autistic children. I've placed dogs with disabled veterans, and most of them have been Doberman Pinschers. I have trained golden doodles for people. I had a traumatic brain injury girl that was 22, and she had worked herself to the point she wanted to go to college, but she walked with a limp, and she has a horrible speech impediment, and she was afraid of crowds. So we went and we got her a golden doodle, and that golden doodle's been going to school for 2 years.
So
now that was about 3 years ago. That she takes him to school. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it was rewarding for me. It still is. I have lots of people asking me, but then my aged 10-year-old Doberman Pinscher started to get arthritis, and he was suffering from cardiomyopathy, and I was told there was something called CBD that might help him. I never knew what it was, where it came from, so I delved in trying to get some research. the only place in the United States that I could find reputable, what I would call reputable research, was out of the School of Veterinary Medicine at Cornell University.
Okay, I've heard of
Because
that.
it's been used on dogs and horses for years, and it's been tested, and all of their test results are there. And I put my dog. Then I start looking for a company.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I'm not going to put something in my dog's mouth that I don't know where it came from.
Sure.
Well, I had a horrible time trying to find companies that even had pet products. I ran into one that was called Pure Science Lab. I did some research.
How
They
did
bought
you
their company.
randomly found it?
I was on the internet.
Yep.
On the internet, looking for pet products from, CBD companies, and this one was called Pure Science Lab. I read their history. Lo and behold, they had over 30 products of various sorts that have been
a lot.
Yes, they've been in 22 countries for decades.
For decades.
Yes.
Pet CBD.
Therefore, yes, it's called Pure Science Lab. And this gentleman that started this company here went to Amsterdam because he has Crohn's disease. Okay. And he wanted to know why they have such good success. And he is a chemist. He's also a physician, and he's very behind the scenes kind of guy, but he is intelligent. And I liked what I heard. I liked what I read. So I sent him a picture of my back x-ray. And I sent him a picture of Dozer, my dog, and I saw an immediate reaction. Within 24 hours, he was walking better. He was not eating before the CBD. He started eating better. He had dropped from 95 down to 84 pounds. And I was worried, this is my service dog. He has health insurance. My dogs have health insurance,
do they?
And I'm treating him with an over-the-counter, product that appears to be working.
You must have been
so I ordered.
Happy.
Oh my God, I was pissed at first because where did this come from? Why is this, if this works on animals, then there's got to be more. So I start researching more, and I finally land in Israel, and I realize there's an endocannabinoid system, and it all starts making sense. And so my first dose of the 5,000 milligram oil, my husband was sitting next to me at the bar stool in the and within 20 minutes, I had a very heated rush type feeling in my back, and the pain started to melt. That's all I can tell you. Melt.
Wow. Melt. That's interesting.
Melt is the only word. I come up with phrases all the time. Just a creative person.
Say, it took my pain. About similar products, but melt I haven't heard. I love that.
Well, I
can visualize
have been in the medical industry all my life. I have had 25 surgeries in my lifetime, none of them elective, from endometriosis to a tracheotomy to a 100% blockage of the LAD 8 months after my back surgery.
Holy mackerel.
I had a 40% blockage on the right side of my heart. That stress of putting someone through that kind of a surgery when you have a good nuclear stress test before you go on that table. And within 8 months, I was having heaviness in my chest. By this time, my dog is doing, by 8 months after my surgery, my dog that I was training to become my first service dog is doing wonderfully well, but we're out walking and, going through the commands, and I'm just working with this dog and trying to get myself ready so that I can go back and take care of people. And I started having heaviness. So I let them know at the U, and they had me come up, and I was on the treadmill when the doctor come flying through the door and said, "Get that lady off that treadmill. She's having a heart attack."
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I was a VA nurse.
Really?
So I'm telling you that I wouldn't be here talking to you had I not been in the right spot at the right time, because they took me over to the cardiac lab and they stented me, and I've been followed since. And in March, my nuclear stress test came back and the 40% blockage on the right side of my heart is gone, and the stent on the left side is fine. It's working well. I have no problems.
That is amazing.
Except that if I don't take metoprolol, I will go into tachycardia. And that's my next big step in life, is to find a replacement for, and I'm looking for a natural digoxin and go back to what it was when I went to nursing school, to slow and strengthen the heart rate.
Okay. So
I don't know where it went, but back to my pet that had cardiomyopathy. When I put him on, he had maybe 6 months to live. He lasted until last January.
Wow.
And he was 12 years old when we put him down.
Wow.
So it gave him the life that he deserved, and he died with his dignity. And I have another Doberman that is 17 months old. He's on CBD. He has flown to Florida already on Spirit Airlines at the age of 9 months. I will not stop training dogs because it's in my heart. I will not stop doing compassion care because it's in my heart. I have to do it to stay alive. I have to give back to this company that has allowed me to take their products and promote them, not only to, a lot of people will start with a pet and they see what it does, and it's like, well, I guess maybe I might like to try a tincture.
So
for
have
myself.
you started do you have a clientele locally? Have you started?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I
Tell me about
probably
that.
I have a huge clientele. I have everything from muscular dystrophy. I have a family that has Lyme disease. And when a little girl that's 12 years old goes on a tincture and can go on a product, and she says, Bonnie, you know how CBD makes me feel? I said, tell me, Gabby, I want to know. It makes me feel like I don't want to die.
Oh, wow.
These are true stories.
Oh, no, I believe them.
This is why I started writing my true stories down, because it's something every single day. I've had one lady that had an eye tumor. She's on a waiting list at the U of M. She goes on a 1,600 milligram oil, and she's hitting the edibles. And she was one of my first clients. She rolled into my garage in her wheelchair, and she's paralyzed from the neck down. She is a total care patient by her husband and can't feed herself. She has head drop so severe she couldn't lift her head off her chest if she had to. The scale, because of the length of time, her metabolism rate. I've been taking classes online where I can find them to try to educate myself as how to judge, and it comes naturally sometimes, because it's just, and I've been experimenting. I mean, it's people's choices, but I have tried to guide these people to what I'm believing may help. And now I've got people here locally. I treated a lady here, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. And she goes, well, if this stuff works, Bonnie, you're going to have a lot of business, because I'm a member of the Golden Girls Club. And I'm saying, what is that? Oh, it's amazing. A group of us. We all have cottages up north, and most of us, our husbands have passed. And lo and behold, the lady's got a cottage up on Drummond Island. And she had 15 guests up there. And now they're all calling.
Oh my goodness, because that's wonderful. Yeah.
I got a guy that had Agent Orange exposure and has been driving by turning his whole shoulders sideways for years, hasn't taken his shoes or his socks off for years, and he's sitting at my dining room table. He takes it to have them do it in front of me, especially if they have a spouse with them, because it shows, and it's a teaching session as well.
Yes.
And he flushed. Some people do.
Mm-hmm.
And his wife about fell off her chair. Oh, I told you not to take that stuff. Oh, now I'm going to have to drive home. And it's like, whatever. And, within, he's a vet.
Okay.
Jerry is a vet. They start talking. It's maybe 10 minutes later, and he goes, holy crap, Sherry. Something just snapped in my neck. Look, I could turn my head.
Wow.
This stuff is so potent. Why haven't we learned?
I know. It makes me so mad.
It does me too. I'm so frustrated.
It's frustrating.
And yet people
look what you're
are
doing, though, and how people can't ignore that. And, I think as time passes, and the science.
Well, even this shutdown has helped me. And people talk. Bonnie lost her house. Bonnie lost her. I lost everything because I was on opioids for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I became a liability. I couldn't work. I had to go on disability. I lost everything.
Oh.
And I was divorced at the time, and my ex-husband took me in. So,
so you went
that's
down
where I'm
to
at in my life. And honey, everything.
Yeah, I can relate.
Nothing. And I put a kid through, I tried to help put my kid through Embry-Riddle Aeronautical, and he's now a aeronautical engineer down at Pratt Whitney in West Palm Beach, and he's the only son that I have, and he lives way down there with 3 beautiful little granddaughters.
Oh.
It's hard, but it's life.
It's life.
I told my husband when I started this, I don't want to be a shipper. I don't want to be a shipper. Mm-hmm. Bonnie's a shipper because everybody has a relative that lives somewhere else.
Right.
And they talk. And if it worked for her, I wonder if it'll work for her. Well, if it works for him, this guy with the Agent Orange, he called me back at 8:30 that night and said, Bonnie, want to know what I did tonight for the first time in 35 years? I said, well, sure, if you want to tell me. He says, I took my shoes and socks off all by myself.
Wow.
Shelly didn't have to help me. I'm like, oh my gosh. Then he called me, and this was like in November. And, he come back every single month, 90.
Just a quick question. Have you any problems with people that are on other medications having any interactions with?
I always ask. I'll tell you, I have had one. Please ask if they are on a blood thinner.
Yeah.
You must ask.
Really, really. What's been the most you've kind of covered what's the most frustrating and the most rewarding? Frustrating
for me, because I'm a nurse first, is the business end of it. Yeah. I am not an accountant. I am not a marketing person, although in my career I did market, and I know the ins and outs of marketing and what works, and it's usually the truth. And if you have a product that sells itself, all you have to do is get it into the hand of the consumer. I go to senior citizen centers and do learn at lunch, and I will be warned before I get there. They won't pay any attention to you because they're eating and they're their social hour. And I get up there and I say, anybody here got a backache? Hey,
I love it.
You want to see my back? This is my back. And I hold up the picture of my back x-ray. 14 vertebrae, 42 screws.
And I'll share that in the
and they'll go, and all of a sudden I've got everybody's attention. People are coming out of their offices and in the kitchen to listen.
Yeah.
You have a spokesperson that is knowledgeable, number one, is a walking, talking testimony, number two, and has medical background, 3. And number 4, I want to learn more. I want to learn. I think I love it.
I love it too. Yeah.
Then I get a book of the lost remedies of herbs, and I go out in my gardens, and I'm in Michigan, and I have 9 flower beds that I created after my back surgery, because they told me I'd never be able to touch my toes again. I'm touching my toes. I bend over. I do yard work. I do everything now. I used to sit in a chair. I'd get up at this time of day after a sleepless night without CBD or any, natural thing in my body, and I was a mess. I would sit until 1 o'clock. I might get dressed. I might not.
Mm-hmm.
We get invited to go. I isolated myself because when you have inflammation in your body, you have pain. Mm-hmm. When you have pain, you have depression. When you have depression, you have anxiety. When you have anxiety, you isolate yourself.
Yep. It all goes hand in hand.
And it all gets taken care of with a dose. Yes, I know, honey. I'm coming. My dog is talking to me. And my dog is a marketing tool as well because he goes with me everywhere. And people don't forget when you walk in with a blue Doberman Pinscher.
No.
I have never had I've never paid a dime for any of my dogs until this one, and half of his fee was donated to me because he's a service dog. Mm-hmm. And he's for balance and mobility, but he will be tested when they can be tested at the age of 1, and he just turned 1 in February for TDI, which is Therapy Dog International.
Okay.
And the reason I put that certification on them is because it's a stricter test that they have to take, and every time they're in public, they're covered by insurance from that entity.
I see. That makes a lot of sense.
And if I'm walking into a school with a Doberman Pinscher, you think I'm not going to have insurance to cover that dog?
Yeah, I bet you are.
But they are the most gentle, the most loving. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you see a group of first graders in a circle with a Doberman Pinscher in the middle of the circle and they're reading to him, and I've seen kids that were stuttering that will quit. I have put dogs with autistic children that didn't talk, and the first word he ever said was, "Jack, come." And then he started talking through the dog. Jack says, "I want to go to Walmart."
No way.
Jack made me do it. He told me I could do it. 6 years old, he'd had all of that ability to communicate, but it took the dog to pull it out of him.
Beautiful.
So that's my life.
So you've got all these pieces, though, that kind of make a really incredible package.
I've been told you need to write a book because I died at the age of 25 legally. I had a bilateral viral pneumonia. I was a student nurse for years, and I lived in Florida, and once you get out of nursing school and you're ready to rock and roll, and it's in the mid-70s, and it was party this and go to the beach for that, and I got a bilateral pneumonia, and it landed me on a ventilator and trached for almost 2 weeks of my life. I lost 2 weeks, and it scared me bad enough that I moved from Florida back to Michigan.
Okay.
And said, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die closer to home next time.
Wow, so that really scared you.
And this plant and everything I'm learning about plants, you walk through your yard and you find 35 plants that are in this book, The Lost Book of Herbal Remedies.
The Lost Book of Herbal Remedies.
Oh, these people that I've seen. I mean, I've got a girlfriend that you've got to talk to. She's 61 with psoriatic arthritis, and she's having some horrible issues right now domestically with a neighbor. And her psoriatic arthritis is just flared. Oh my gosh, it's on her arms, it's under her arms, it's under her breasts, it's up her legs. And she works in a place that's not air conditioned, so that doesn't help. Then I gave her a bottle of Mike's spray, or yours. I can't tell which is which.
He's the creator,
and he's wonderful.
Yeah,
he's just wonderful.
50% of what our business.
Right.
And he's got his other dynasty that he's building, which is incredible. I love what he's doing. He's making training the market. Oh yeah, he's a genius.
And I'll promote anything that I fall in love with, but I have to use it first. And when Jerry put it down my back, it was like someone had sprayed a pain patch on my back. And I had been doing some gardening the day before, and I had taken my tincture in the morning, and usually that's enough. But if I've been doing stuff that I really probably shouldn't be doing, like swinging a rake and knocking down some of these crappy things that are growing over my back fence, which are poisonous to dogs.
Oh, boy.
I was doing that last Saturday, and Sunday I hurt so bad in the upper, because my fusion goes from T9 through S1.
Wow.
So my thoracic, it's going to have some attention at some time. I've got bulging discs. Anything you have with a fusion, the top of it or where they've stopped is going to always cause problems, because I had a fracture when I was still healing in my back.
It's always going to be a little bit off.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying. So,
Yep. But I truly feel better in my life at the age of 68. I'm 68.
I wouldn't have guessed.
And I feel 40.
You feel 40.
I feel good. 40. Yeah. I had dimples on both sides of my cheeks that were so cute when you were a little girl, but they didn't tell you they were going to turn into craters. Therefore,
I got some of that
and
stuff.
When you have pain, your face wears it.
Mm-hmm.
Your face literally takes a beating from pain and inflammation. And my face looks, so I'll send you a before CBD and an after CBD. 18 months on CBD, and you can tell the difference. And people notice. My neighbors see me out in the yard.
If people, like somebody, where can people find you?
People can find me.
You mostly
I have a website. I am affiliated with affiliated with a website here in Michigan, and it's called CannabisEvangelist.com. I have a videographer that runs that site, and he will have things that are comical, such as what he did last weekend. He grew a little baby plant, and he took it and he gave it to his 88-year-old neighbor, and he filmed it all because she has an interest in these plants, and she named her Tatiana.
Oh boy!
So and they're going to film baby Tatiana all summer and show how she grows and what she does, and that's going to be on our. Be contacted there.
Okay.
I also have puresciencelab.com.
This is awesome, Bonnie. I think that you've done a really awesome job.
I just love what I'm doing. I wish I could teach more.
Through. It's easy. It's easy to talk to you.
I do have another nurse that I have trained. I have put out notices that I could train anyone that has some sort of a background, and I'm talking nurses, aides, people that are EMTs. This would all come very naturally for, I believe, because it just ties in with what they've already seen and been taught.
Right.
And I think that our mission as nurses should be to take the lead, because nurses have taken the lead in the past. It's our duty, and spread this any way that we possibly can.
Part of my reason for doing this podcast is to reach special needs parents, families, and
Sure.
Yeah, so I think that having reputable sources where people can, know that somebody is behind the product, or somebody knows about the product, and they can talk to them about,
exactly
certain situations.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I'm going to keep this.
And we do need a yes, and it does help find the right product for that person, so they don't have to waste a lot of time with titration. And titration
it sounds like you're good at that. I'm impressed.
I am very good at that. But as a respiratory therapist, I had to titrate people on oxygen.
Right.
Always,
so you have a good sense.
So it all makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if
I think that's one of the hardest things, is getting the dose right for people, because a lot of people just take a few gummies and they're like, oh, it didn't work for me. They don't realize that there's like all these levels of. It's the methodology that counts. And I didn't realize that until Steve really drummed that into me. Your skin is the largest organ on your body. Why wouldn't you be using, if you don't need pain cream, use the beauty products. They're still absorbing through your skin. And
if you're absorbing it sublingually, it's going completely through your blood vessels and it's being absorbed immediately. And by ingesting it through your digestive tract, you're allowing it to get into the internal organs that the digestive juices carry the substance into other organs.
Okay. Because I've heard both sides of that.
Sense. Yes.
Yep.
And I didn't want to, I've tried to approach physicians, but all the physicians and all the veterinarians in the state of Michigan all received letters from their associations just recently that they cannot discuss CBD. They cannot handle it in their offices. Slam the door.
Yeah.
I thought all these doctors were Dr. Slam the door. And I couldn't get my veterinarian to pay any attention.
How
Look at Dozier. He's gaining weight. This is from CBD. Well, it might be, but I can't discuss it with you.
Isn't that so frustrating? I mean,
that's and
why
the woman
you have
that
to just do it
the
yourself.
mother of the mother of the child that has the blister to the bone.
Yep, the one that you sent
came
pictures.
to me over a year ago because of her dog that was arthritic and suffering horrible pain in her end years. And she bought CBD and saw the significant change in that dog. And when she saw that the infectious control disease doctor can't get a handle on this, the kid's been through massive IV antibiotic therapy for 3 months. It's not closing.
Probably
he's had wound care for 3 months. It's not closing. And Bonnie, she said, I got to call Bonnie. Bonnie might have something. And she calls me on a Sunday. And that was a week ago Sunday. And that thing is closing.
She must be ecstatic.
I said, if I can just break it, because Susan, the MD patient up the street, has improved so much that Mary Freebed Rehabilitation Hospital in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where she has her care, in a gene therapy trial program, because her stability, her able to grasp and things was improving so quickly on CBD. They wanted to get this gene injected and see what that would do. The woman is feeding herself now.
Beautiful.
The woman can lift her head off her chest by herself now. She is ripping her arms off her controls on her wheelchair. If she's got an itch on her cheek, she can do it now. Do you understand why
I do?
And I do have another client that has multiple fractures from an automobile accident, and they're healing so quickly. The orthopedic surgeon is watching this case because they were upfront with him and said, we are using CBD product from, and don't think they aren't watching. I know they are.
Yeah.
And
it's got to be hard to
are
be a
talking.
doctor.
These doctors are, because I've gotten kids off of, I had an 18-year-old that was put on Prozac for constipation. Yeah.
My daughter was almost on it for something like that. And I used to be
I'm like, are you serious? She goes, oh, Bonnie, his whole attitude has changed. He's being mouthy. He's being, he's just a different person. I got to get him off it. What can I do? So we put him on a 725 milligram oil for 1 week, and then we reduced it 5 milligrams. And then we waited 2 weeks and we reduced it another 5 milligrams. And it wasn't too long before he was off the 20 milligram Prozac that he was on.
Nice.
And he hasn't been on it since. So it can happen, and I've got other people besides myself that are opioid free now. I ain't the only one.
No, I know.
So,
I think it starts kind of with, like you said, with the green nurses, the ones that are on the boots on the ground with the patients, seeing the results.
And we're not afraid to experiment.
Yep.
I mean, I'm cautious, of course.
And it sounds like you've been really careful in your process of learning about it.
Oh, I have. I think working with Steve and the dogs and continuing to, try to educate myself. I try to learn something new every day.
Yep.
And it's hard, but I think with what Mike is going to be offering his classes. I
Right.
want to be the first.
You want to be the first? I want to take it too. And that's a good that you brought that up, because that's exactly, a course that educates the healthcare professionals.
Right. And my idea too was, of course, I would like to make some money. I haven't made a dime. I give a lot of things away. Oh, honey, yes, my husband could kill me.
I bet. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I've got 3 beautiful grandchildren in Florida that I would like to, know that I've done enough, that I've started at least an education fund for each one of them before I die.
Yep.
And I'm a person that's waiting for the next shoe to drop.
I hear you. I live
basically
that way.
Health-wise,
Oh,
because
health-wise.
I don't know. I am scared to death that something could happen to me and it would stop everything, because it has before.
I hear
Many
you.
times in my life, I have lost my health for a period of time, and I have to fight my way back. And I'm not quitting now. My mother passed away at the age of 89. And I had a grandmother that passed away at the age of 104. The longevity is there.
Yep.
I just have to feed it.
Yep.
And, I've been on a cardiac diet since I can't even tell you when, way before I had heart problems, just because it made sense to me to be proactive.
Mm-hmm.
You don't run all these cardiac stress tests and EKGs and put people on ventilators and not learn anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. It seems like every experience you've had, you've taken a big piece and kind of incorporated it into the better parts. Yep.
Oh, honey. You know what started it all? It's when I literally died on, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
I literally died on Palm Sunday, and I woke up Easter morning.
No.
A week later. And I lost a whole week of my life. And it made me realize, because when I woke up, I was in Mercy Hospital down in Miami Beach, Florida. And my room looked out over the ocean, and I saw the sun come up that morning. And there was an awakening in my soul that
feel it.
Has never left me. Appreciate life for what it is. And I lost a 3-year-old child in a farming accident years and years later. But it just brought that lesson right back to my, my psyche, because it affects you for the rest of your life. And what you go through in your life, it makes you the person that you are. And right now, I'm extremely happy where I am. However, the only icing on the cake for me would be to be able to make some money that I could put away for the legacy that I'd like to leave.
I feel like you're on the right
I've
track.
Never been. I hope, because I've lost everything in my life more than once, and it's been a real hard, lesson to learn. And I know how things can be yanked out from underneath you in a split second, because
you sound so much
my
like
little
me.
boy, my two little boys were ages 2 and 3, and they were told by their father to stand next to that tree while he backed up a piece of farm equipment. And the 2-year-old did, and the 3-year-old didn't.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And it just changes your whole.
Deep.
I gave CPR to my 3-year-old as a respiratory therapist. I couldn't save him. And I had to go back to my medical career. And I had a 2-year-old that saw it happen and witnessed me giving his brother CPR. And 2 weeks later, he's asking me, is my brother like a dead animal at the side of the road?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's been, we all have our journey.
Yes,
all
we do.
have a journey.
We do.
And we all have a story. And I am more than happy to share mine if someone can learn from it. And what I've been through.
I feel the same way. And thank you for sharing that, though. That's really that's heavy.
Well, we're all human, and we all can relate to each other. I don't care what color you are. I don't care where your hereditary, whatever, where you came from. It doesn't matter to me. We are all brothers and sisters on this planet.
That's the way I feel. I feel, those things that happen to you, they shouldn't be things that you're ashamed of. They should be things that are part of the fabric.
It's how you, it's how you deal with the things that happen to you that make you the person that you are.
Yes, absolutely.
And I can't thank you and Mike Robinson
Oh my
enough
goodness, my
for
pleasure.
all that you're doing.
We'll be in touch.
I
This
just
has been
think
a
it's wonderful.
great convo and great interview. And
Okay. Well,
all right.
In the meantime, check out our cannabisevangelist.com and get a load of Nick. He is a hoot.
All right. We'll be in touch.
You're going to love this guy. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bonnie. Take care.
Bye-bye.
And that is a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning in to TSC Talks, the Source Cannabinoids, listening to Bonnie Drake. Keep tuning in for this series, What is a Green Nurse? And check out thesourcecannabinoids.com for our amazing products. Creator Mike Robinson, founder of the Global Cannabinoid Research Center, cancer survivor, amazing cannabis advocate, formulator extraordinaire. These are next level.